Hey everyone, Obsessive Prepper AZ here. Got my husband here. We've got our medical go bag torn apart so you can see what we've got in it. Now I did a part one to this video of our medical supplies that we have in our closet and kind of give you a guideline of what we have in our closet. Now by all means, there's no way that everybody can have all these supplies. We have been blessed that we've been prepping for several years, and when we come across certain things, we get them. So that being said, I'm going to let my husband go through with what we've got here and explain to you. And I also, on my last video, put out a tag to the Patriot Nurse. If you haven't seen her channel, go to it. This woman rocks. She gives you ideas of what you need for medical supplies that you can get for $50, medical supplies for $100, and she explains so many things that I can't even explain to you. She's just an awesome source of information on the medical world. So that being said, I'm going to let my husband explain to you what we've got here. So,
hello everybody. This is just a sample of some of the first aid stuff that we try to carry. These are is essentially our medical go bag that we keep in our vehicle. And as my wife was saying, we have some things that the average person probably wouldn't have, and perhaps even shouldn't have if you don't know how to use them. This kit, for example, is a tracheotomy kit. Actually got this off a Special Forces guy, and that's used in the field. Not something I would really want to try to use if you didn't know exactly what you were doing. But keep in mind, all of this supplies and having it, perhaps there's somebody in your neighborhood that is a firefighter or a paramedic or a police officer or former Army or Navy medic, doctor, nurse, that might not have the supplies in storage and that would know how to use it. So we have some of these trauma bandages here. Some of this is quick clot, which is for gunshot wounds, things of that nature, or severe bleeding. We have splints. There's a couple of different varieties of the SAM splint, which, if you can see there without the glare being too bad, can be used on your arms, legs, shins, things like that. We have various different eye bandages, which should you sustain any kind of a wound to your eye, can definitely be helpful. It's kind of an across-the-board kit here. More splints that are rolled up for different uses, multi-trauma bandages for large wounds, C-collar splints for neck trauma and things like that.
Something that a lot of people don't think of, that an inexpensive way of having things for storage for like blood trauma kits is like women's maxi pads.
Great bandages.
Awesome for yes, for wounds. Tampons. I mean, if you had a hole and you had to plug that sucker up, a tampon would work. So excuse the pun there,
but survival blankets come in handy, whether you're covering up a victim or somebody injured, or just trying to keep warm in a situation. So you can really never have too many of those.
Arizona, you know, we have such extreme heats. If somebody was on the ground, I mean, it would be a good buffer that they're not getting burned from the Arizona concrete.
One of these things here that you can see, there's a CPR mask in there. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but it's basically just a cup that goes over your mouth. And keep in mind, just because you may be in a SHTF situation doesn't mean you necessarily want to not be worried about contracting a disease if you're giving somebody or a complete stranger CPR. So something to still keep in mind. We keep one of these little miniature Leatherman tools. Got a lot of little different functions in there, can come in handy. You've got your pupil dilators, your little lights, things like that. A ton of different medical scissors and tweezers and things like that. Scalpels, you know, not necessarily to perform any kind of surgery, but perhaps you need to lance a wound or something like that. We also have a blood pressure cuff and a good stethoscope, which will really help you if you know what you're doing there as far as taking pulses and things of that nature. You can never have too many rubber gloves. Got a lot of different little antibiotics and ointments there. In this little kit, you'll see there's actually some sutures, additional scalpel blades, etc. The sutures are great. They have, these are, I believe, catgut sutures. and basically a hook with a little bit of thread on it, good enough to sew up a wound. Might be a little hardcore, but if you had to do it, you'd have to do it. We have some cold compresses and various different gauze bandages in all different shapes and sizes. Tourniquets, which would be very important. I mean, you could even get severely cut, not necessarily even a gunshot wound, and need a tourniquet. That's really a little bit of everything is what we try to have. Eye wash, some lotions, you know, should you come into contact with poison ivy or something like that, iodine solutions, hand sanitizers, and there's a lot of other little goodies and such in here that are alcohol wipes and different solutions and pads and antibiotics and ointments and
something
things like
we
that.
haven't even got into is basic things like your Imodium, your ibuprofens, your oh, I can't even think of the names. My brain just went dead there. The Mucinex, things like that. I mean, you want basic medical supplies also. And if you think about it, you can have all of this, but people that are drinking bad water, eating bad food, things like that, you have to think about diarrhea. You have to think about dehydration. So you have to be able to have something like the Imodiums to stop the diarrhea. You have to keep water in you. And so in any good medical kit, you have to think of all the different things in cases. Now, this is an extreme kit that we've got, but like my husband said, if you don't know how to use it, I guarantee you in a situation, a SHTF, you've got somebody around that does know how to use it. We have several neighbors that are paramedics. My best friend's husband is a paramedic, and he always talks about classes with us with
well, he talks about starting IVs on one another and wants to teach us how to do that, which definitely would come in handy. Now, of course, you'd have to have a source to have IVs, but replenishment of fluids is critical in any traumatic situation, which is why the IV has been so important and life-saving over the years. But as my wife was mentioning earlier, just simple little solutions. I kind of had a I don't know what you would call it, but a note to self today. I've been having sinus trouble the last 2 weeks, and sinus pills. There is a particular kind of sinus pill that seems to work, and without it, I would literally be nearly crying in pain. So those are something that I just thought of tonight that are going to be going into this little kit. If you have any prescriptions or things like that.
Copies of your prescriptions.
Copies of your prescriptions.
Copies of your glasses, your prescriptions for your glasses, contacts. We always tell people, you know, any kind of information that you can triplicate, put in every different bag, everything, so that you have an SHTF situation, that all your prescriptions and copies of it can be there accessible to give to the doctors. So I think we're pretty much done. Again, I'm going to throw out the Patriot Nurse. Check her channel out. She's awesome. And I just leave it up to the people that know their job and know more about things than I do. And I love her channel. So check it out. You all have a blessed evening.